Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks, I'm Platter series videos I've been doing for a little while now. I go over there, try out food and drink items. I eat stuff, I drink stuff, then, folks, I'm gonna talk about stuff. I'm gonna let you know all you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff. That time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not gonna lie, there is a plane flying above me. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's there. But it's too nice to not have the window open, so hopefully you'll bear with me. But anyway, folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there, I'm going to try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm going to yammer on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm inside my truck, and whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I'm wearing a super cool shirt. And folks, remember super cool shirts? I always like to highlight the super cool shirt. What super cool shirt am I wearing for you today, folks? Well, I've worn this one in the past. Happens to be my Mudvayne shirt. Specifically from the psychotherapy sessions tour that they had with Cold Chamber and Guar and Butcher Babies and Nonpoint. Really awesome fucking tour. Just the year prior had been sort of like their glorious return, and they were on tour with Rob Zombie kind of supporting. This was like their first headlining tour, coming back. Really awesome fucking show. I grew up as something of a Mudvayne fan. I wasn't like huge into them, but it was one of those things where, especially because they started to kind of like transition away from sort of their original sort of look and sound for a while. But it was one of those things when I got a little bit older and I started looking more into their discography, and it was like, damn, man, like these are some genuinely really talented guys, Like, I think that if they hadn't sort of come in on the sort of, maybe not the tail end of the new metal stuff, but I think they just kind of hit a little bit too late, and then they started like taking on almost an emo kind of look and everything. Yeah, that wasn't great for them. But I do really like these guys. So much so, I've actually got videos on my channel of performances that I've attended of theirs, in case you're interested. Nothing else, I could point you in their direction, but fuck, it's Mudvayne, But anyway, what am I trying for you today, folks? What are we doing here? Well, it has nothing to do with Mudvayne. It has everything to do with, boom, it's Skittles! Specifically, this is a Skittles fruit drink. I mean, I say fruit drink, but there has never been a fruit anywhere near this. Okay? The closest this has ever come to a fruit was when I bought it at a supermarket, and it was probably 10 aisles away from the produce section. But yeah, Skittles decided to go over there and come out with a line of drinks. I have already reviewed the original flavor and the wild berry flavor. This is the tropical flavor. Sure, why the fuck not? So, let's get a thing for the thing. Looks like that. And the nice thing is, when I did the wild berry and the original flavor ones, I had to get those from an import store because they just weren't widely available. Now, they're actually at stores. So, I got mine from a Mariano's, and I believe they're owned by Kroger, so they might be available through Kroger. And a friend of mine works for Menards, and he says they're actually carrying them now. So, I think I paid for the original ones from the import store $4 a pop. For these, I paid $4 for 2. So, let's try out a tropical Skittles what the fuck ever. Man, they got a stank to them. It's not, to be fair, it's not like a terrible smell, but it's a very artificial smell. Yeah. So here's the thing with these Skittles drinks. It's not like they're just it's not like they're just like, hey, and I want to mention, they're not like a soda or anything like that. There's no carbonation or anything. They're just like a weird, closest thing I could kind of equate them to would be like the little hugs, or like those little barrel drinks, that you get when you're a kid in the summer and everything. Kind of like that, yet somehow even more sugary and artificial. The thing is, like, if they just tried to go over there and come out with like carbonated versions of sort of their flavors, I think that could have worked. But because they tried to do this weird, again, it's not a fruit juice, but fruit flavored drink, I guess. The thing is, it seems that when they were designing these, they came up with the idea that not only should it have, the whatever the taste is, in this case tropical, but we should also try to make it taste like an actual Skittle. And so there's this weird like sugary, super artificial flavor to it, where I think they're trying to emulate the actual Skittle experience beyond just the simple flavor of whatever the fuck it is. And boy, oh boy, was that a misstep. If they just had a nice tropical tasting drink, I think it would have been fine. But I think they went a little bit too, they were a little too ambitious. The flavor itself is okay, the tropical flavor. That part of it, I'm fine with it. And honestly, I think out of the three that I've tried so far, again, the original, the wild berry, and now the tropical, this in terms of flavor is probably my overall favorite. The initial hit is nice. It's sweet, a little bit tangy. Again, it's like it's all artificial. All artificial. But you can sort of get what they're going for with it. There's almost like hints of artificial pineapple and, some other stuff in there. It has a nice, like, just general tropical vibe. It's very sweet, a little bit tangy. Once that initial tropical flavor drops off, it becomes, like, you get a tanginess, and then immediately you get this, like, heavy artificial sugar. It's not great. Yeah, I am not a big fan of that. Again, this one I think is the most tolerable that I've had. I think the tropical flavor does the best job of sort of, man, that aftertaste is a little bit weird. I think it does the best job of sort of vibing with the rest of the flavor and kind of masking some of that stuff. But yeah, it's still, yeah, I don't know what the plan was with these, but this couldn't have been it, I don't think. This one's almost tolerable. Almost. But it's too sugary and it's way too artificial. Two questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? No and no. Now, just right off the bat, I'll be the first person to admit, I'm not a big Skittles person. It's just not, they've never been a go-to treat for me. My buddy Mike, he's a big, big fan of Skittles. Sometimes he watches my videos. Hello, Mike, in case you see these. I'm not a Skittles guy. Again, don't hate them or anything. I'll every now and again. In my entire life, I've never been like, oh boy, Skittles. It's always like, oh, Skittles. Okay. That's where I am with them. So maybe if you're a big Skittles fanatic, you can get down with this. But for me personally, it's just, why does this exist? I don't know what it's for. The only thing, it strictly has to be from a novelty perspective. And even then, it has to only appeal to, like, the most hardcore Skittles fans. Because I think anybody outside of that, and I would say, okay, it's more for kids or something like that. Kids should have nothing to do with these. These have got to be some of the most unhealthy things on the planet. You could probably drink fucking radioactive waste and have it be better for you. It's just, it's so sugary, so artificial flavored, And I mean, look, I'm a guy who grew up on soda and shit, and that stuff isn't great for you. But at the very least, they've worked it out. They managed to, make it pretty appealing. With these, it's it's not a fruit juice. It's not a soda. It's this weird fruit-flavored beverage, but then there's nothing to mask how artificial and just funky tasting it is. Even though I do like this one probably the most out of the ones that I've had so far, and there is one more, which I'm going to review after this. Yeah, man, no for me. I don't. If I'm recommending it to people, I'm really not. It really is just one of those things. I think it's one of those things, if you want to try it, try it. The feedback that I have seen so far from people who've commented on my videos or other stuff that I've seen, by and large, people are saying kind of the same thing that I have, which is that it's just too artificial. It's just not, And again, I just don't know. I don't know who it's for. Because outside of hardcore Skittles fanatics, I don't know who the audience is for these. I just really don't. Because I don't think most adults would be into it. And again, I don't think it's something that you should give to kids. I'm not usually that person to be I'm not trying to tell you how to parent, but yeah, man, fuck, man, give them a Capri Sun or some shit. At least that's something. But this, no. 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of your week, monumental rest of your month, stupendous rest of your year. Folks, go over there and have yourselves a truly proper, tropical-tastic tasting rest of your life. But not this shit. Like, an actual thing that's good. Final 2 things. Number 1, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do if you can't do it all the time, I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, it's not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me, I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. And when we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important that we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back, try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives, hopefully do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, maybe you're hardcore, maybe you are the hardcore Skittles fanatic who I've been talking to. If that's the case, let me know what you have to think about this. Like, genuinely, because it's like, at some point I'm sure I'll bring it up to my friend Mike and we'll have a discussion about it. Because he's the biggest Skittles guy that I personally know. And even then, I wouldn't say he's like a fanatic or anything, but he likes them quite a bit. Because it is like, admittedly, from my perspective, it's like, I'm not that big into Skittles. Maybe for people who really like Skittles, there's something to these. But please comment, let me know what your experience is with these if you run into them and you give them a try, because I don't know, man. I don't know what Skittles was thinking with this, but I could be entirely wrong. Anyway.